Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are standing on the unceded traditional territory of the Comox First Nation. And first item is the adoption of the agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Move down to the adoption of the regular council meeting minutes from April the 20th.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Thanks. Consent agenda, just a motion and seconder for all of them.
Second.
All in favor? And anyone like to pull anything out? Councillor Swift.
Thank you. I'd like to pull out number 3.
Number 3, okay.
It was a request for the proclamation
Right.
For National Garden Day. And this was a motion that was brought forward by the gardening crew at the Filberg. And they've been working in collaboration with Milner Gardens and I guess a couple of other gardens on the island. And they were just wanting a proclamation for National Garden Day. And they're actually holding an event June 18th at the lodge.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions on that? So I guess we'll take a motion from council on that. So a motion that we approve the proclamation as requested. And then a seconder.
Second.
Okay, and any questions or comments on that? All in favor of that proclamation? That's carried. Thank you. And any further items out of the consent agenda? Councillor Minions.
Yeah, can I pull out number 1 and 4, which is just in regards to our tree canopy and I imagine the northeast
Okay,
development.
yeah, so go ahead.
I'm just wondering if at any point our plan for communications on that is to kind of have one central place on our website, which I know is a challenge to probably find on an older website, but to really have that FAQs we kind of talked about, I'm still seeing quite a bit out there about development of the Northeast Woods. So just wondering what the timeline would be. So we're probably going to continually get these consent agenda items if there was one really stock place that we kept. The communications that have gone out. So maybe it's been a letter to each new recipient, but is there a place that can live on our website or a place that we could direct people to? And it may exist already. I apologize.
Yeah, CAO, let me take that.
Yeah, that's something that we can do. It doesn't exist already. We're looking at launching the new website. Right, is it mid-May? Yeah, in a couple of weeks. So it probably would be something that we would include on the new website. The current website that we have trying to get anything up and running tends to crash more than it does to survive. So we'll make a note and see if we can get that added to the new one.
Great. And Councillor McGowan, I see your hand up.
There we go. Yeah. I was just wanted to bring up something along the same lines as Councillor Minions to have, you know, we've been able to give some really great replies, and to have that information available would be extremely helpful for I think the whole community. And you know, not having the power to do necessarily what is being asked of us, we can look at other green infrastructure, green spaces, public garden spaces, green roofs, stuff like that, that will help support our town's green space, or our town's green already green infrastructure.
Okay, thank you. Anything further on that? Okay, so we're good with those 1 and 4. And any other, was Councillor Bissinger you want to pull out?
Sure, yeah, number 5.
And then Councillor Kerr. Number 5.
Yeah, sure, just maybe from staff, just an acknowledgement or confirmation that we will be taking care of the dunes like during the widening of Lazo. I haven't really looked at the drawings, so I'm not sure the impact that it has or not.
Yeah.
But I know.
Yeah,
this
Judy's.
is
And just for Jonathan and Stephanie, Judy Morrison is here, so you'll see the back of her head, maybe not. So yeah, it's right up there.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So we will be sending an acknowledgement to make it official there. Yeah. All right. And Jonathan, you had your hand up for something on the consent agenda. Councilor.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. Mine was number 5 as well, and just wanted to thank Judy for her letter, but also thank Director Ashfield for her explanation. It was very, very helpful. as a counselor to get that information, and that staff is, doing everything in their power to protect the Gary Oaks along that stretch of road. So yeah, my question was, and I couldn't quite hear everything Councillor Bissinger was saying, but just wanted to confirm that information is going back to Judy and others in the community that are concerned about those trees.
Yeah, we will make sure that the response goes back out. So what we're doing is we're taking a look at the potential construction of a small retaining wall to help protect the dunes and encouraging and formalizing a Gary Oak ecosystem in the area. We're also going to have an open house to look at the designs of the road on May 25th from 4 to 7 at the fire hall. So there's going to be an opportunity for the public to come in and see and look at what we're doing and give their input before we move forward.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so I see we're all done with the consent agenda. I'm sorry, Judy, at the end, we'll have an opportunity that you'll be able to speak. There'll be a section there for you, so just hang tough. We shouldn't be too long. So. All right, so we'll move down now to unfinished business, and that's the strat plan for May the 4th, receive a fee.
Second.
Any questions or comments on that? Councillor Swift and then Minions.
Thank you. I'm just wondering if there's any update regarding 1200 Military Road. I know we kind of set our planning department aside so that we could get some applications through there, and everything's been quiet as far as I know from then on in. So I just was seeking an update to that project.
Yeah, excitingly, we are moving forward with it. I believe the PLR for the area has been issued. There's still a number of, I think, hurdles to get through, especially with the provincial government, and I don't know what the timeline is on that, but I'm hoping to meet with their development team sometime in the near future to get an update on where they are and where they're going. But from the town side, things are moving forward, and they have a good idea of what to look for in the development.
And Councillor Minions.
Yeah, I had a member of the public reach out today and ask if we had a date for the climate adaptation open house that's in June. I don't have the paper right in front of me, but I don't believe I've seen a date for a specific date for that. It's getting closer.
It's getting closer. The date hasn't been set yet, but we are starting to get closer to the targeting and getting the information out and ready to go. So I don't expect it'll be too long before we have a date that's communicated to the public.
Great, thank you. Anything else from that? All in favor? That's carried, thank you. And we have from Chief Nicole Rempel regarding the earlier council agenda, the support for the Guardian Watchman.
Second.
Okay, so questions or comments? We do have a request there for $5,000, and Councillor Swift, I'll let you take it.
Thank you. Again, as I said before, this is a grant and aid program, and we actually don't have grant and aid. And although the amount of money looks rather small, I will not support it. I haven't supported any of the requests for grant and aid requests, so I'm not going to do it now. I was a little disappointed that they aren't in a position to take us up on an offer of support in kind. But I'm also wondering if they could be encouraged to explore some granting opportunities if they haven't. I know a lot of the grants out there are really favorable for First Nations projects, and I'm hoping that they would be able to get their funding in that way.
Okay, do we have any other Councillor McGowan, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to really try and encourage this council to provide the funding that was specifically requested. You know, reconciliation and the relationship with Comox First Nation is supposed to be one of our top priorities. And, you know, looking to combine projects in the future is always a wonderful idea, but I really don't think we are in a position to kind of insert ourselves and uninvited into a project. this is something that will help everybody, not just the First Nation. But I just really think it would be a very good step forward. And I think that if we just tried to offer grant and aid or just said, yeah, no, we don't do that, would be a backward step. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So we don't have a motion out there, Councillor Kerr, and then Minions.
Thank you. I'll make a motion. I'd like to motion that we do provide the requested $5,000 to the Comox Guardian Watchman program. And I'll speak
Second.
to that motion now. Yeah.
So are you seconding it, Councillor Minions?
I'll second. for
Okay,
discussion.
so for
Okay.
discussion, Councillor Kerr.
Yeah, I do respect the comments made by Councillor Swift. I think I see this as different than a grant and aid program. This isn't a nonprofit. This isn't a community group coming to us. You know, we've been approached by a First Nation in Canada to assist them with a local program that benefits our entire community and the Comox Valley in general. And I believe as a municipality and a neighbor, it would be very much the right thing to do to support our partners and our neighbors and therefore support this program. So I would be voting for this.
Okay, I saw, I believe Councillor McGowan, you had your hand up, did you, or?
I was just trying to second.
Oh, okay. Councillor Minions?
Yeah, I think there's components to it with, they were talking about like a youth liaison, it's environmental, it's Comox First Nation. There's enough attributes there that it kind of takes it out of a typical grant and aid we'd get from a nonprofit. I would have wanted to possibly do like a friendly amendment just to say that this year we grant them and we say it's very specific as this year, and we would like to continue the discussion about like a community granting application as Councillor Kerr had suggested last time. So make it very clear. We did end up, giving Lush Valley the funds last year as a one-time, and this year we didn't. So those do happen. But I think because of all the things that it attributes to, including the $5,000 amount being feasible for us, I would vote in favor with really some wording in there that this is not ongoing and necessarily increasing type of, it's a conversation, because hopefully we can start sitting council to council, et cetera, and having discussions on these things. So I would support it with a little bit more wording on working together in different capacities moving forward without being specific.
Are you okay with that, Councillor Kerr? That this being this was a for 1 year, 1 year.
Just
That
to
was the
be
intent of
clear
my
on a
motion,
1
yes.
year and to open the door to further discussion on grant applications, et cetera, because we can say that it is I don't know what the word is, an exception to the general policy.
CAO, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just if that's something that wants to be added, I suggest an amendment. A friendly amendment won't work in this situation. So just friendly amendments are more around changes that don't impact the intent of the original motion, and friendly amendments need to be unanimously agreed to by council. So it's usually just easier to make a regular amendment.
You're okay with that, Councillor Minions, that it's a regular
I'll just make the regular amendment, but it's just specified that it's a 1 year thing, so we can explore different granting opportunities, et cetera, in future, as it is outside of our regular realm.
amendment? Okay, so that's second. So any other further discussion on that? So on the amendment, all in favor? All right, so now with the motion that we had, that this being for 1 year, any other discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, 1 opposed. So that is carried. Thank you. All right, so main motion as amended, yeah. So do we need to vote on that one? Because we voted on that. Okay, so now to vote on the main motion as amended. All in,
You voted twice already.
that's what I thought I thought we did, but, okay. Yeah. Okay, so we'll move down to new business, and Councillor Kerr, I understand you will be recusing yourself for a couple moments while we do this one. So put your fingers in your ears. Okay, so, and yeah, so this is that the business license bylaw amendment to limit the hours of the liquor service for the Blackfin pub. So you're giving first reading.
Second.
Okay, so any questions or comments on this?
Maybe I'll just jump in and explain where we are, because I think there's three processes
Yeah,
happening right
okay,
now.
thanks.
So council, there were two main processes that were asked for by the Blackfin. The first process was to make a temporary amendment to allow them to use their patio to serve alcohol. You have completely dealt with that at a municipal level, and any further regulatory approvals are with the province. The other request was to make a change to the zoning regulations to increase the size or the number of patrons that they can have in. Council, you've passed 3 readings of that. There's some work that needs to be done as far as registering covenants and coming into compliance with the agreement that was made. Once that's done, it'll come back for approval. That doesn't mean that they're able to move forward right away. They'll still need to make an application to be approved by the provincial government. So there is another step for the municipality to do. And what you have in front of you today is making an amendment to the hours that they can serve alcohol, which was part of their submission and what was agreed to. So that's the process you're looking at today.
Okay, so yeah, so we have the first reading that was moved and seconded, I believe. And any questions or comments on that? All in favor? And that's carried. Second reading. Any questions or comments on that? All in favor? That's carried. And
Second.
third. And any questions or comments? None seeing, all in favor. Okay, and that number 4, that pursuant to section 59 of the Community Charter, Council give notice of its intention to adopt the Comox Business Regulation Amendment bylaw number 1882.05 by publishing it in 2 consecutive issues of the newspaper and on the town's public notice posting place.
Second.
Any questions on that? All in favor? Okay, that's carried. And so now with the bylaw notice enforcement be given first reading. We're still on the same one for Blackfin. Yeah, yeah. So for first reading for the bylaw enforcement.
Second.
Okay, any questions on that? All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Number 2, second reading.
Second.
All in favor? And number 3.
Second.
All in favor? All right, those are carried. Thank you. And moving on, can somebody get a hold of Councillor Kerr? Okay. We'll just wait a moment. There you go. Thanks. Okay, so the Point Homes Recreation Association, this is a sublease renewal for 5 years. And any questions or comments on that? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And the bylaw readings for the 2022 to 2026 financial plan and 2022 tax rates.
Second.
Any questions or comments on that? All in favor? Carried. And number 2,
Second.
any questions, comments on that? All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. It's always a bit of a long drawn out process, but we have it done.
And so for next week at the strategic planning meeting, we're going to call a special meeting to start to do the adoption. It's important that we have those adopted in order to have the bylaws created in time to send to the provincial government, which deadline is May 15th. So at the next meeting, we will have a quick special meeting, adopt the bylaws, close that meeting, and then go into the strategic planning meeting.
Great. Thank you. All right, so we do have some correspondence, and this is from the Fairway Gorge Paddling Club for $10,000.
Second.
Any questions or comments on that? All in favor? Have a receipt. Right, okay. Okay, so thank you. And do we have any opposed? I didn't see Jonathan's hand. Okay, so we're all good on that. So we're going to move down to reports from members of council. So we'll start with Councillor Minions and then go counterclockwise.
Sure. On Earth Day, I attended the Youth Climate Council Climate Panel in March, which was about a 45-minute panel with different elected officials from across the Comox Valley, and youth came up to the microphone and just kind of asked us questions about what we were planning to do about specific varying topics, mostly around climate. And it was a really well-organized event for the group that put it on, being their age and organization was great. Restorative Justice Society, just a regular board meeting without anything much to report. Comox Strathcona Waste Management meeting, a big portion of it was just finishing off budget, and then we were in camera for that based on the criteria that was there. I attended, which is not really a council thing, but the Snow to Surf event, which was the first in 3 years down in our Comox Marina. So I think that's the busiest I've seen it down there in 3 years. So Councillor Grant volunteering there, which was great. It just seems like all the events are back, which is great. Cumberland Forest Society did their trivia night in person for the first time in a couple of years, and the city of Courtenay won best team for like the third year in a row. So I would like to challenge that, but it seems like they've got some really good trivia players over there. And then today I attended the Vancouver Island kind of food policy. It's a newer group that's just starting to form to talk about advocacy around the Water Sustainability Act, around pesticides. Basically just approximately 96 or 97% of our food is coming from off island. So just talking about ways to try to get more of our food, even if it's just moving the mark slightly lower, but learned a lot of different stuff about agriculture and water and pesticides that we don't really talk about here, but it's more of a provincial advocacy group, and it was very interesting.
Thank you. Councillor Bissinger.
Sure, thanks. So attended a beach cleanup at Goose Pit for Earth Day, and then had a nautical days meeting last week. And then basically just the highlights. So the luncheon is, we're canceling it. We can chat about that after if you guys want more. And then we're thinking of doing the opening ceremony on the Saturday instead of on the Monday, just because we don't have the luncheon anymore. And then just looking for support to do a bit of a concert / dance party on this, I think it's Sunday, that we kind of agreed upon for an evening of dancing and music down at the marina, sort of like 6 to 9 p.m. timeframe. So that was one meeting. We can chat a bit more about it, I guess, offline. And then also attended a really short part of the food policy council meeting today. So that's it.
Right, thanks. Councillor Grant.
Sorry, I attended the regional district board meeting. It was the quickest meeting I think we've ever had. So that was a bit of a relief. Just received a bunch of minutes and then a whole bunch of the area stuff that comes up, and they put those on the agendas because with only 3 people, you have to have more people in attendance when they do that. So, and I got to pour beer at the Snow to Surf race this year, and that's the first beer garden I've been to in about 40 years. So I think I was at the first Snow to Surf as a participant in that back in '82. So that was an interesting thing to do, but that's what I did.
Thank you, Councillor Swift. Just having a brain fart there. Never forget her name. I always forget Minions and McGowan's name.
Yeah. I attended the solid waste meeting in Councillor Bissinger's place, and again, I found it really interesting. And it was they also had a roundtable action update. They did a roundtable last year, and so they were updating some of the actions that had occurred. I attended a Filberg lunch where they had a lunch for the volunteers, and it was the first time they'd been able to sort of gather as a big group, and they were absolutely thrilled. Attended the Filberg board meeting, which was their normal board meeting, and there was some conversation around June 18th, which is going to be the National Gardens Day, and they're going to have some master gardeners there, and there'll be more information, but it's kind of a 9 to noon event, and they're hoping to get Tim Ennis back to talk more about bats and that kind of thing. So that's an upcoming event. They've set the date for their Christmas event, and the next day the fire suppression system was going to, the start of the installation was going to occur, and they are absolutely thrilled about that. And it's still going on. Gord tells me it takes about 2 weeks, but they're They're nearing the end of it, and it's quite inobtrusive. So everybody's really pleased and really pleased with the crew that's working in there, because they're having to work around all the teacups and vases and things, but they're doing a great job. And my last thing was the CBRD board meeting. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Councilor McGowan.
Thanks. I also attended the Youth Climate Council Earth Day event. It was absolutely amazing. It always gives me so much hope to see what those kids and young adults can accomplish. Absolutely wonderful. We had a Comox Archives and Museum meeting. Lots to talk about upcoming year and what to do. Food Policy Council. Lots to talk about the food hub and feasibility studies and things like that that are going on. Social Planning Society AGM went on, and there was a really great presentation on the poverty reduction strategy. And like Nicole and Alex, attended the Island Food Shed, because the Food Policy Council it's a little different, but many of the same people, it seems, for local. Island Food Shed initial meeting. And that's, I think, all I did.
Thank you, Councilor Kerr.
Thank you. We had a Vancouver Island Regional Library Board meeting, and I'm very excited, as many of you know, that there was a positive agreement reached with the union, and library services have been fully restored here in Comox and across the island. So that's a great news story. I attended a hospital board meeting, and there was a really interesting back and forth discussion about a new health services hub idea, which would integrate primary care and community care services into a single dedicated space. And that's to optimize patient care. So that's more will be planned for that in the future. I attended a primary care meeting with the Ministry of Health about 10 days ago. And again, we were talking about local primary care planning here locally and recruiting doctors and nurse practitioners. As mentioned, there's a couple of awesome Earth Day events. I attended the Comox Earth Day event at the St. Peter's Anglican Church, and congrats to Jay and his team of organizers, and also to the Climate March and panel discussion organized by the Comox Youth Climate Council. Really great to attend. And lastly, along with Councilor McGowan, I attended the AGM for the Comox Valley Social Planning Society. The real striking take-home point for me was that 15% of people living in the Comox Valley live at or below the poverty line. So that's over 2,000 people in Comox. And I've just been doing a lot of personal reflecting about that and how we can best support our neighbors living below poverty. Thank you.
Thank you. And for myself, I attended the Comox Valley Chamber of Commerce AGM, and it was nice to see our very own Fire Chief Gord Schreiner being presented with the Lifetime Achievement Award there. I think they received that earlier, but because this was the first time they met, so that was good. I attended the afternoon at the Comox Anglican Church Earth Day event. Had the Canadian Council for the Blind AGM dinner about a week ago, and that was upstairs in the Legion, along with Mayor's Baird. No, actually, it was Acting Mayor Sproul was there, and Gwen Sproul, and then Mayor Wells was there, and it was nice. It was folks from all over BC and the Yukon. The Mterra check presentation, that's through to the Comox Valley Healthcare Foundation, and it was approximately $3,000, but it total is about $30,000 what they've been donating to the Healthcare Foundation. So that's good to see. The CAO and I had a staff meeting here in council chambers yesterday with the RCMP and their manager of the office administration. And last night I had a presentation at the Comox Cumberland Rotary Club, spoke with those folks for an hour or so. And I too attended the beginning part of the Snow to Surf, but then had some family commitments later on in the afternoon. So that's what I did. Now we will take questions from the public. So Judy, you have. So So this is question and answer period. So, if you have a question, be more than happy to help answer. Do you understand the staff have given you the email from our director of, what is your operations? Is that what she is now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the email's gone to Judy yet, but it
Oh.
will be coming very
Oh,
soon.
okay.
Do you want to?
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing. If you could just come to the end of this table here and, Maureen, if you hit that way. Yeah.
The engineering department does not think that the dune is part of a Gary Oak ecosystem. And they don't give it the respect that they give to a Gary Oak ecosystem. I think many of the dunes are part of an ecosystem. The one in front of our property is really essential. I think it's what created those Gary Oaks. That's a very inhospitable, harsh environment out there. And because this area was behind those dunes, Gary Oaks were able to grow. So they talk about a retaining wall. Well, I don't know how, at this time, I don't know how high that retaining wall is. And I would really like to see no retaining wall.
Yeah, and so to answer your question, the director of operations is looking into that. They're very aware of the sensitivity of that area. And so, yeah, if you haven't got an email, it'll be coming soon, and we'll make sure that, their department gets these pictures as well. And, your point very well taken, so.
I just really do think that it should be protected 100%, that dune. You start compromising it, who knows when it will stop. It's sand.
Okay.
Anything you take in there with regards to equipment or anything
Right.
is difficult.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, do we have any other questions from the public? Seeing none, before I say that we're going motion to adjourn, I just want to say, may the 4th be with you. All right, so, okay, all in favor. All right, and Stephanie and Jonathan stand by.